Have you ever felt that sickening punch to the gut when someone you care about pulls away? That desperate urge to chase, to beg, to somehow prove your worth? Most relationship advice tells you to fight harder, to pursue relentlessly. But what if everything you've been taught about winning someone back is completely wrong? The truth about human psychology is far more counterintuitive, and frankly, most people will never discover it. Those who master the principles of dark psychology understand a powerful truth. The moment you chase someone, you've already lost them. What if I told you that the exact behaviors you think will bring them back are actually pushing them further away? It's a bitter pill to swallow, but your desperate texts, emotional pleas, and constant availability are destroying your attractiveness by the second. The most powerful force in human psychology isn't persistence, it's absence. When applied correctly, strategic distance creates an almost magnetic pull that can transform indifference into obsession. This isn't manipulation. It's understanding the fundamental principles of human attraction and self-improvement that most people never grasp. The most successful people in relationships aren't those who love the hardest or try the most. They're those who maintain their worth regardless of how others treat them. Stoicism teaches us that emotional mastery isn't just philosophical theory, but practical relationship psychology. While everyone else is frantically chasing, begging, and compromising their dignity, you'll be implementing a psychologically proven strategy that flips the entire dynamic. The person who once took you for granted will suddenly find themselves thinking about you constantly, wondering what changed. I'm about to share the exact psychological framework that has helped thousands transform their relationship dynamics completely. These aren't cheap tricks or temporary fixes. This is a complete paradigm shift in how you approach relationships, self-worth, and personal power. The principles I'm sharing have roots in both ancient Stoic wisdom and cutting-edge psychological research. What makes this approach so effective is that it works regardless of your situation, whether they've ghosted you, broken up with you, or simply started taking you for granted. Are you ready to reclaim your power and discover why the right kind of absence creates an almost irresistible presence? The pursuit of winning someone back rarely works when it comes from desperate chasing. In fact, dark psychology teaches us that the power of attraction often lies in the void we leave behind, not in the endless messages we send. When someone pulls away and you chase after them, you're unconsciously communicating that your value is less than theirs. The psychology of human behavior reveals that we are naturally drawn to what seems distant, mysterious, and confident. Think about it. How many times have you become more interested in someone precisely when they seemed less interested in you? It's almost as if we have an internal radar for detecting desperation. Stoicism teaches us to control our immediate emotional reactions, allowing us to make more strategic decisions. Instead of sending that message begging for attention, try taking a deep breath and occupying your mind with something productive. Perhaps that self-improvement book that's been on your nightstand for months. Reclaiming your power means recognizing that you are complete on your own, not a broken piece waiting for someone to complete you. The big names in behavioral psychology agree that healthy relationships are formed by two independent people who choose to be together, not out of desperate need. It's like that old saying, if you want to be desired, become desirable. And that starts with genuine self-confidence and a sense of self-worth. Reclaiming your power also means establishing a standard for how you wish to be treated. When you demonstrate that you're perfectly fine on your own, you send a powerful message. Dark psychology explains that this creates cognitive dissonance in the other person. If he, she is doing so well without me, maybe I made a mistake. That's where the magic of absence begins. And you know what? This isn't manipulation. It's simply self-improvement in action, putting your emotional well-being first. Stoicism serves as a powerful psychological framework that can transform relationship dynamics in remarkable ways. The ancient philosophers who developed this school of thought would be amazed to see how their teachings apply to modern dating. Psychology. When someone pulls away, the natural reaction is anxiety and pursuit, but Stoic principles teach emotional detachment and self-mastery instead. This shift in approach creates a fascinating psychological effect. People tend to value what they fear losing and take for granted what's always available. The core Stoic principle of focusing only on what you can control applies perfectly to relationship challenges. You can't control another person's feelings or decisions, but you have complete domain over your reactions and mindset. This mental discipline forms the foundation of emotional independence and creates a magnetic attraction. Studies in dark psychology confirm that humans are naturally drawn to those who maintain emotional equilibrium during turbulent times. Try practicing this by maintaining a calm demeanor when receiving concerning texts or hearing disappointing news. A Stoic approach doesn't mean becoming cold or unfeeling. It's about developing emotional resilience. When you stop allowing external circumstances to determine your internal state, you reclaim tremendous personal power. Many self-improvement experts recommend starting with small daily practices. When feeling reactive, pause for 3 deep breaths. Before responding, maintain consistent morning routines regardless of relationship status. Focus intensely on personal growth projects when feeling lonely. These practices build the emotional muscle needed for true detachment. The beauty of Stoicism in relationships is that it creates a natural power reversal. When you genuinely accept that you'll be fine regardless of the outcome, you paradoxically become more attractive. This isn't about playing mind games. It's about authentic self-sufficiency. Psychology shows that confidence is more attractive than neediness in virtually every culture and context. Notice how people who embody these principles seem to have an almost magnetic quality. They've mastered the art of caring deeply while remaining unattached to outcomes. Emotional detachment represents one of the most counterintuitive yet effective approaches in relationship dynamics. When someone pulls away, our instinctive response often involves anxiety, overthinking, and desperate attempts to reconnect. Yet, dark psychology reveals that these reactions typically push the other person further away. Instead, maintaining emotional equilibrium signals inner strength and self-assurance. This calm response creates an intriguing psychological contrast that often makes the other person question their decision to distance themselves. The psychology behind this principle is fascinating. Humans naturally assign greater value to those who demonstrate emotional independence. Think about how you respond to others who seem completely unfazed by rejection or setbacks. There's something magnetically attractive about someone who remains grounded in their self-worth, regardless of external validation. Practicing this might involve continuing your normal routines, engaging fully with friends, or pursuing that self-improvement project you've been planning, even when experiencing heartache. The key is authentic engagement, not pretending. Emotional detachment doesn't mean suppressing feelings or becoming cold. It's about processing emotions healthily without letting them dictate your actions. Many Stoicism practitioners recommend techniques like journaling intense emotions rather than acting on them, scheduling specific worry time rather than ruminating constantly, or engaging in physical exercise to process emotional energy. These approaches allow you to acknowledge your feelings while maintaining a composed exterior. Remember, maturity isn't about not feeling. It's about choosing how to respond to those feelings. Learning this skill creates ripple effects throughout all relationships in your life. When you master emotional detachment, you'll notice people become more respectful of your boundaries and more considerate of your feelings. The psychology behind this is simple. We treat others according to the standards they set for themselves. By demonstrating that your emotional state isn't dependent on someone else's behavior, you subtly communicate that any relationship with you must be based on mutual respect rather than emotional manipulation. This foundation creates healthier connections across the board. The journey to reclaiming your power in relationships requires avoiding several critical mistakes that undermine your position. Dark psychology research reveals that the most common error is pursuing someone who's pulling away. This creates a destructive power imbalance from which recovery becomes increasingly difficult. Overcommunication represents another major pitfall, as it signals both insecurity and a lack of respect for the other person's boundaries. When you flood someone with messages, you demonstrate scarcity psychology rather than self-assurance. The third mistake, losing yourself in the relationship, erodes the very qualities that made you attractive initially. Seeking constant reassurance ranks as the fourth relationship-damaging behavior that signals deep insecurity. The psychology behind this is straightforward. When you repeatedly ask for confirmation of someone's feelings, you communicate that you don't believe you're worthy of love. The fifth mistake, emotional reactivity, reveals immature emotional regulation. Stoicism teaches that responding with dramatic emotional displays to minor disappointments suggests you lack the resilience necessary for healthy partnership. Notice how people who remain calm during conflicts often maintain the most respect in relationships and professional settings. Trying desperately to prove your worth constitutes the sixth critical error. When you attempt to justify your value through words, rather than embodying it through confidence and self-respect, you paradoxically diminish how others perceive you. The seventh mistake involves allowing someone else's actions to dictate your mood and well-being. Self-improvement experts suggest breaking this pattern by establishing daily practices that ground your emotional state. Perhaps morning meditation, evening journaling, or regular exercise that remains consistent regardless of relationship status. The eighth, and perhaps most insidious mistake, is letting fear of loss drive your behavior. When you operate from a scarcity mindset, believing this person represents your only chance at happiness, you create the perfect conditions for manipulation and emotional dependence. Breaking this pattern requires developing what psychologists call an abundance mindset, the genuine belief that meaningful connections exist plentifully. Try expanding your social circle through interest-based groups, volunteering opportunities, or classes that align with your passions. As you build diverse connections, your emotional investment becomes healthily distributed rather than concentrated on one person. The no-contact strategy represents a powerful psychological reset button that works on multiple levels simultaneously. When implemented correctly, meaning absolutely zero communication for at least 30 days, this approach creates a vacuum that the human mind naturally seeks to fill. Dark psychology explains that we value what we can't access and take for granted what's readily available. During those 30 days of silence, the other person experiences your complete absence, often for the first time. This absence creates psychological space for reflection that wouldn't otherwise occur during ongoing communication, no matter how minimal. The key to this strategy lies in its absoluteness. Partial implementation dramatically reduces its effectiveness. This means no social media monitoring, no accidental run-ins, and certainly no responses to their outreach attempts before the full period concludes. Psychology research confirms that intermittent reinforcement, occasional responses, actually strengthens attachment more than consistent contact. Think of it like resetting a computer. Sometimes the only way to fix a malfunctioning system is a complete shutdown before restarting. Many relationship experts recommend specific self-improvement activities during this period, such as reading Atomic Habits by James Clear or The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Branden. What makes no contact particularly powerful is that it works regardless of the other person's reaction. If they don't reach out, you've gained valuable information about their level of interest and investment. If they do reach out, their pursuit behavior rebalances the relationship dynamic in your favor. The stoic wisdom of focusing only on what you can control becomes paramount during this period. Rather than obsessing over their potential thoughts or actions, channel that energy into your own growth and healing. Notice how this approach shifts focus from external validation to internal development. A fundamental principle in building lasting confidence. The psychological benefits for yourself might actually outweigh the strategic advantages in the relationship. This period provides critical emotional space to detach, reflect, and rebuild. Many people report surprising revelations during no contact. Patterns they couldn't see while emotionally entangled suddenly become obvious. The distance often reveals whether you actually miss the person themselves or just the comfort of having someone. Psychology shows that humans have remarkable resilience when they focus on growth rather than loss. This time can transform from a painful waiting period into a powerful self-discovery journey if approached with the right mindset. The transformation period during no contact presents an unparalleled opportunity for profound personal development. What most people fail to realize is that the energy previously invested in the relationship, those hours spent texting, worrying, and analyzing interactions, can now be redirected into self-evolution. Dark psychology studies reveal that humans are naturally drawn to growth-oriented individuals who continuously improve themselves. When you channel heartbreak energy into fitness, your physical transformation becomes a visible testament to your resilience and determination. Try establishing a consistent exercise routine with both strength and cardiovascular elements for maximum psychological and physical benefits. Beyond physical improvement, this period offers the perfect opportunity to develop skills that expand your identity and capabilities. The psychology behind this approach is fascinating. By developing new competencies, you literally become a more complex and interesting person. Whether learning a musical instrument, mastering a new language through apps like Duolingo, or developing a creative skill like photography, these pursuits build confidence while expanding your social opportunities. Stoicism teaches that external circumstances, while beyond our control, provide perfect conditions for internal growth and character development. Career advancement represents another powerful focus area during this transformational phase. Many successful professionals report that relationship endings catalyzed their most significant professional leaps. This phenomenon stems from redirecting emotional energy into productivity and ambition. Consider taking courses that enhance your professional credentials. Restructure your resume to highlight achievements rather than responsibilities, or start that side business you've been contemplating. Self-improvement through professional development creates tangible results while building the confidence that comes from mastering valuable skills. Perhaps most importantly, this period offers the rare opportunity to rebuild your social foundations. Psychology research consistently shows that diverse social connections significantly impact happiness and resilience levels. Many people gradually reduce their social circle during relationships, creating an unhealthy dependence on one person. For emotional needs, use this time to strengthen friendships that may have been neglected, join interest-based communities, or volunteer for causes you care about. Notice how expanding your social world naturally reduces the significance of any single relationship, creating a healthier psychological foundation for all future connections. The experience of rejection or breakup creates a unique psychological opportunity that few recognize in the moment. While conventional wisdom treats heartbreak as something merely to endure, Dark psychology reveals it can function as a powerful catalyst for personal evolution. This transformation occurs because emotional pain breaks down our established patterns and self-concepts, creating space for reconstruction. When identity boundaries dissolve through loss, we gain rare freedom to redefine ourselves. Many of history's most remarkable achievements and personal transformations have emerged directly from periods of intense emotional suffering. The Stoic perspective on suffering offers particularly valuable insight here. Pain is inevitable, but misery is optional. The difference lies in how we frame and utilize the experience. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What is this teaching me about myself?" Or how can I use this experience to become stronger? Psychology research confirms that this cognitive reframing dramatically affects both emotional recovery speed and personal growth outcomes. Books like The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday or Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl offer profound frameworks for transforming suffering into strength. The self-improvement process begins with honest self-reflection about relationship, patterns, and personal contributions to the dynamic. This reflection requires courage, but yields invaluable insights that prevent repeating destructive cycles. Notice which emotional triggers revealed your insecurities, which boundaries you failed to establish or maintain, and which red flags you ignored due to attachment. Journal about these revelations, perhaps using prompts like, "What did this relationship teach me about my needs?" or "What will I do differently next time?" This reflection transforms painful experiences into wisdom that serves your future relationships. Heartbreak also presents a perfect opportunity to develop emotional resilience, the psychological equivalent of building physical strength through resistance training. Each time you face emotional pain without avoidance behaviors like excessive drinking, rebound relationships, or numbing through overwork, you build capacity to handle future challenges. This emotional strength becomes evident in your increased confidence, reduced reactivity, and willingness to be vulnerable despite past hurts. Many people emerge from properly processed heartbreak with a paradoxical combination of softer hearts and stronger boundaries, more open to authentic connection, while more discerning about who receives their emotional investment. Establishing and maintaining firm boundaries represents perhaps the most fundamental skill in reclaiming personal power. The psychology behind boundary setting reveals that we teach others how to treat us through what we permit, deny, and require. When you clearly define and consistently enforce your standards, you communicate powerful messages about your self-worth without saying a word. This clarity attracts people who respect your value, while naturally filtering out those who seek to exploit or diminish you. Many relationship experts consider boundary setting the foundational skill upon which all healthy connections depend. The practical application of this principle requires identifying your non-negotiable standards and communicating them calmly, but firmly. For example, rather than accepting last-minute cancellations with passive acceptance, practice saying, "I understand things come up, but I need at least 24 hours notice to reschedule unless it's an emergency." Notice how this establishes respect for your time without attacking the other person. Dark psychology research shows that those who articulate boundaries confidently, without defensiveness or excessive explanation, gain the most respect. The Stoic virtue of saying exactly what you mean without emotional inflation or minimization serves perfectly here. Boundaries protect more than just your time and energy. They safeguard your emotional well-being. Many people struggle with this concept because they confuse boundaries with walls. The difference is crucial. Walls completely block connection, while boundaries filter what influences reach your emotional core. Self-improvement in this area might involve practicing phrases like, "I'm not comfortable discussing that topic," or "I need some time to think about this before responding." Learning to say these statements without apology or explanation represents a significant step in personal empowerment. Books like Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Glover Tawwab offer practical frameworks for this skill. The most powerful aspect of boundary setting is its effect on your relationship with yourself. When you honor your boundaries consistently, you build unshakable self-trust. This internal alignment creates natural confidence that others sense immediately. Psychology confirms that we subconsciously assess others' self-relationship as a predictor of how they'll treat us. Someone who consistently violates their own boundaries will likely violate yours as well. By contrast, those who demonstrate self-respect naturally command respect from others. This principle creates a virtuous cycle. The more you honor your boundaries, the more confidently you express them, and the more naturally others respect them. The moment they reappear in your life represents a critical psychological turning point that requires careful navigation. After implementing the strategies of absence and self-improvement, their return often arrives with exactly the reaction you might have once desperately craved. The dark psychology at play here is fascinating. Humans naturally value what they've had to work to regain. Your composed response now becomes crucial in establishing the new relationship dynamic. Rather than expressing overwhelming excitement that shifts power back to them, practice calm acknowledgement. Something as simple as, "It's nice to hear from you," maintains your psychological position while leaving space for connection. The Stoic principle of emotional restraint proves particularly valuable during this delicate phase. While internally, you might feel validation or vindication. Expressing these emotions undermines the personal power you've reclaimed. Instead, approach the interaction with genuine curiosity and healthy detachment. Notice how different this feels from your previous emotional state. This transformation represents tangible evidence of your psychological growth. Many self-improvement experts recommend preparing for this moment in advance by journaling potential responses or practicing with a trusted friend. This preparation prevents reverting to old patterns in the emotionally charged moment of reconnection. Setting clear terms for renewed connection demonstrates your continued commitment to personal boundaries. This clarity might involve expressing something like, "I'm open to rebuilding our connection, but I need consistency and better communication this time." Psychology research confirms that relationships with explicitly established expectations tend to be healthier and more satisfying for both parties. Pay close attention to their response to these standards. Whether they react with respect or resistance reveals critical information about potential growth during your time apart. Remember that their words matter far less than their consistent behavior over time. The most powerful position in this renewed dynamic comes from your genuine transformation. When they encounter someone who is visibly more confident, engaged in meaningful pursuits, and emotionally centered, the contrast with their memories creates powerful cognitive dissonance. This psychological phenomenon often triggers increased attraction and respect. However, the true victory isn't their renewed interest, but your decreased need for it. The ultimate evidence of successful personal growth is recognizing that while their return might be welcome, it's no longer necessary for your happiness or self-worth. This authentic independence, paradoxically, forms the foundation for potentially healthier connection. So what's it going to be? Will you continue down the path of desperation, constantly diminishing your value with every unanswered text and emotional outburst? Or will you finally reclaim your power and implement the psychological principles that create genuine attraction? The choice is entirely yours. But remember, every moment you spend chasing someone who isn't reciprocating is a moment you could be investing in becoming the kind of person others naturally pursue. The dark psychology principles we've explored aren't just about winning someone back. They're about transforming your entire approach to relationships. Are you ready to break free from the emotional roller coaster that's been controlling your life? Can you imagine how it would feel to wake up each morning focused on your growth instead of obsessing over someone else's validation? The most powerful transformation happens when you shift from external validation to internal confidence. This journey of self-improvement isn't always easy, but those who commit to it discover something remarkable. By the time the other person returns, and they usually do, you might find you've outgrown the need for them entirely. Isn't that the ultimate form of reclaiming your power? What would change in your life if you approached every relationship from a position of stoic strength rather than emotional neediness? How would people respond to you differently if they sensed you were completely content with or without them? These aren't just theoretical questions. They represent the practical reality that awaits when you implement the psychology-based strategies we've discussed. The most successful people in both relationships and life understand that attraction isn't created through pursuit. It's generated through becoming genuinely attractive from the inside out. If this approach resonates with you and you're ready to dive deeper into these transformative principles, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Right now, each week, we explore powerful psychological insights that most people will never discover, giving you an unfair advantage in relationships, career, and personal development. The community we're building here is for those who refuse to settle for mediocrity, people committed to mastering both the external game of influence and the internal game of self-mastery. Hit that subscribe button now and join us on this journey of transformation. Your future self will thank you for the decision you make today.